The recently discovered Regieleki may not strike hard, but it certainly strikes fast. Yeah, that is a blatant lie. It certainly strikes very hard, but before I show you the calcs, hello and welcome to first Series 9 Metagame Monday, where I take a look at popular team archetype and explain why and how its sets work, how to beat it, and how it matches up against other archetypes in form of replays. So, basically what I did here, I took a already existing archetype out of Series 7, because Series 9 is the same as Series 7, the same rule set, but they added Sync, Pikachu and Raichu because of some post-Malone event, I believe. So, it is the same. These Pokemon are not going to change the metagame at all, I think, unless you're going to face up against a Japanese opponent at midnight. But basically, what the idea of this team is to disguise the Regieleki, put it at end of the team, so no one really thinks it's important, but it's actually the main Pokemon, the main idea of the team, the main core. And Glastrier and Spectrier, so basically this archetype used to be so-called dual horse, which I might make a separate video about later. But the idea is Glastrier and Spectrier have great synergy together. Basically, Clefairy plus Spectrier sweeps if opponent has no Trick Room, and if opponent gets with Trick Room, you set up Swords Dance next to Follow Me Clefairy with Sing, and you basically destroy the Trick Room. Rillaboom and Urshifu Rapid Strikes are amazing late game cleaners, as you might know. Urshifu is just a better Pokemon, crit moves, going through Protect, priority move, great stats. Same applies for Rillaboom, very bulky, got Fake Out, Grassy Glide, Grassy Surge, Boosted Wood Hammer certainly hurt. So yeah, these Pokemon are late game cleaners, and these are supposed to be the lead Pokemon you lead with and sweep with. But I made one change to the team. I actually don't remember the original team, but I believe the last slot used to be like Max Speed Regieleki with Electro Web. That's supposed to help you in the mirrors. Or Incineroar to help you deal with Trick Room a little bit better. It makes the team a little bit more consistent, as is always the case with Incineroar, with Intimidate, Parting Shot, Fake Out, Intimidate. It's just like great Pokemon to have. It just makes your team a little bit better. And of course Incineroar is again one of these better Pokemon like Rapid Strikes or Urshifu and Rillaboom. Just so many great traits on top of the already good ones. So yeah, Regieleki is the main part of the team. So what does it do? So basically, if you see a ground type, no, I'm gonna tell it like that. If you don't see a ground type on a team, or a Raichu, you lead Clefairy plus Regieleki. And there is a chance opponent cannot win. So basically, you might be asking like, wait, where is the Thunderbolt? Well, basically, all these boosts, like extra boosts, are necessary to stack up, so you KO the things no one would expect you to. So basically, we could have Magnet, but I need Life Orb for extra power. We need Rising Voltage, so we have 100 for the base power electric move in Dynamax form. Yes, Thunderbolt gives you 130 base power max move, but Rising Voltage gives you 140 base power max move, which again is that like extra kick. So yeah, and a Hyper Beam is basically for ground types to slow them down. The most common use for that you're gonna see is you go for Max Strike against Landorus to slow it down. Even if it's set up a Airstream already, you are probably gonna outspeed it and now make it slower. Like if it got +1 speed, now it's neutral speed. Now Rapid Strike Urshifu comes in, or like is already on the field, and now with a chipped HP and with dropped speed, it outspeeds and finishes it off. So that's the singular reason for Max Strike. Of course, you can get creative with it. Like against element teams, you can basically like Max Strike them, and now you basically outspeed them. I believe you like outspeed Excadrill after a single Max Strike drop, although you never should use Regieleki against Excadrill. Excadrill is kind of rare, but you get the idea. It's just way too bulky, KOs Clefairy, and then just finishes off Regieleki next turn. It's kind of awful. So, yeah, Electro Web is basically, this team has very big lack of spread moves, so I actually find myself weak to stuff like Shell Smash sweeps, like from Blastoise. You're not gonna beat them if they got 2 redirections, but with Electro Web, it's much more simple to do. It also supports the team a little bit better, but I'm generally not against running Volt Switch in this. Like, it makes the Regieleki a little bit better non-Dynamax option. Like if you need Spectre or Glastrier to Dynamax, Regieleki with Volt Switch is going to be much more useful, I can imagine. So what's the bulk for? So these are the first few calcs I'm gonna show you on screen. Last time I did that was like when I was preparing for Ground Tundra. Unfortunately, a lot of these sets are outdated. I should actually mark them on YouTube as outdated. But back to Regieleki. So what does it do? With this defense investment and Friend God, it takes 2 Garchomp's Earthquakes. Kind of a bad, like, I don't think it's that relevant because, like, unfortunately you got Life Orb Recall. Without Life Orb Recall, it would be a 3-hit KO, but with Life Orb Recall, it is very much probably a 2-hit KO, but you need Life Orb Kick for the calcs I'm gonna show you later. Now, with this investment, you also take Max Quake from Landorus. If you somehow manage to just not want to protect the Regieleki from the obvious Max Quake, if it are already, for example, Dynamaxed, you can take the Max Quake still, and you're gonna survive. Wow. But of course, you need the Friend God to just get this little bit extra bulk. Now, that's all the calcs I can get up from my head. I believe Grassy Glide from Rillaboom does like 30%, if I recall correctly, from my practice games with this team, but yeah. But right now, let's get to the offensive calcs. So, Incineroar, that is built to survive Max Quake from Life Orb Venusaur, super effective attack, you know. It guaranteed survives that attack. Well, Max Lightning from Regieleki with Life Orb and all these boosts, even without Helping Hand, is a guaranteed KO on that Incineroar. And by quite a hefty margin. I believe the minimum roll is like 105%. Whew. that's the power of Regieleki, basically. And basically, like, that's very bulky, right? It got over 200 HP, it got over 120 defense, and it does minimum amount of 105%. So, like, you can imagine, like, even if you got a lot more bulk, like, I can imagine, like, 140 special defense, this Regieleki still has, like, very favorable chance to one-shot you. Now, it's, like, maybe 50-50, but it's still 50-50. It's dangerous for the opponent. And after it goes for Max Lightning, it set up Electric Drain for itself, and of course that Electric Drain stacks with Transistor and Life Orb. Yeah, Regieleki can get really ugly if it gets the Electric Drain up. Like now, suddenly, like you KO Incineroar, now you KO, you do 140% to the Incineroar right now. Like, what is gonna survive that right now? So, you might just look into the Trick Room Setters category. Of course, these Violite Trick Room Setters are very bulky, so what do you do with them? Even without Electric Terrain, Helping Hand Max Lightning is a favorable chance to KO Porygon 2. But I remind you, a lot of Porygon 2, at least from Series 7, use to invest a lot in defense, so they take close combat from Urshifu a little bit better. Now, with Regieleki H, I expect coming in like very soon in Series 9 metagame. Use this as a reference video, by the way. I expect a lot of Porygons 2 to invest a lot in special defense, but in order for them to survive this Max Lightning guaranteed, they need to go max special defense. That is hilarious, and of course with Electric Terrain they are not gonna survive that, so there is no escape. Of course, without Dynamaxing with resistant Pokemon, there is truly no escape. Wolfeys Dragapult from his Players Cup 2 winning team, we got a chance to one-shot that as well. Wow. Yeah, that's hilarious. And Dusclops can never guaranteed survive this. Even if it's turn 52 Calm Nature, it is still 25% to one-shot the Dusclops. So, yeah, Regieleki certainly strikes hard. It needs Helping Hand boost to KO the Trick Room Setters, but come on, it's not even super effective move, so cut it some slack, you know? So yeah, that's Regieleki for you. It is completely ridiculous. But now, when does Regieleki... When can't you bring Regieleki in? So, against Landorus, you can kind of still bring Regieleki because Urshifu Rapid Strikes takes care of the Landorus. But if they got Garchomp, for example, you cannot really use Regieleki against that. Garchomp is actually one of the most effective counters for this, since if Urshifu wants to go for Surging Strikes against it, it will get hurt by its Rough Skin 3 times, and if it wants to go for Close Combat, it lowers its defense to a range where I think like Life Orb Max Dragon from Garchomp finishes it off, and of course Garchomp is faster than Urshifu Rapid Strike, so it finishes it off before it can attack. And of course, Close Combat still chips it away with Rough Skin, so the Focus Sash is gone. So against Garchomp, you go with Spectrier, like, unless they got like Trick Room mode, or Glastrier is favorable. So Spectrier is our saving grace against so-called right-shoot Celesteela teams, which otherwise just completely just destroy us. We cannot really use Glastrier against that, as you might imagine, because the Celesteela just kind of gets defense boosts. Chaos Clefairy gets another defense boost, yes, because the Celesteela on that team is defense boosting, so they basically go for Steel Spike, not KO Clefairy. Next turn they KO Clefairy, get +3 defense, and we lose the game, because Glastrier cannot do anything. So we need Spectrier to deal with that. We go for, generally against that team, we go for Helping Hand Max Phantasms, and we just kind of KO everything on that team, since Raichu on that team doesn't even have Focus Sash, so we just KO it out with Helping Hand Shadow Ball. Now, unfortunately, since we took Life Orb with Regieleki just to get like extra knockouts, we have to give Spectrier a Spell Tag. Now, you could give Regieleki Magnet and give Spectrier Life Orb, but you need these extra knockouts on Regieleki, so I highly recommend running Spell Tag on Spectrier as a result. It will still use the Max Phantasm most of the time. Now, since we don't need to win the Spectrier Speed Dice, since Regieleki is going to win us the Spectrier Mirrors, because it's just faster and more powerful, we are going to run a Muddy Spectrier. So with like, actually, I believe that was used for Life Orb set, so we KO Incineroar with Max Quake. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So, change of plans in the middle of the video. We're gonna run Timid Nature. So, like, we still get the knockout still, so it doesn't really matter. Helping and Max Phantasm, for example, KO Milotic still, so it doesn't matter. And as the plot is for punishing passive positions, you can run like Taunt on that slot, but like, it's usually Taunt on Spectrier was used to counteract the Trick Room teams with like Porygon 2, which rely on Fake Out to deal with Taunt, but they cannot because it's Ghost type, so they cannot Fake it out. But we deal with these archetypes with Helping Hand plus Regieleki, so we don't really need Taunt, so you can basically run like anything on this. Like, maybe Will-O-Wisp could be nice. And now, Glastrier. So basically, Glastrier is our anti-Trick Room. Like, if they got hard Trick Room with like indeedee, hatterene, Glastrier is our way out. So basically, if they got like passive Resurrection Trick Room with like, no, Resurrection Trick Room, but for example, it's Incineroar and it's just annoying, we're gonna go for Sword Stance with Glastrier, get the attack boost, and if they try to, for example, attack us with Eruption, we get a Weakness Explosive Beast and KO them back with Max Quake. I'm talking about too many things at the same time. So basically, you punish passive positions where, for example, opponent has a Fake Out and Trick Room Center with Sword Stance. Even if they, for example, go for Trick Room and Fake Out the Glastrier, you can kind of go for Sword Stance plus Follow Me next turn, and it just gets ugly for the opponent. You also got Sing, so it's even more annoying for Trick Room to deal with this. And yeah, you basically got like both defense boosting moves, max moves, and then like Max Hellstorm to just knock out everything, you know. Chilling Knight is amazing ability. It really is like Moxie, so you just snowball out of control. Opponent cannot really go for super effective moves against it. Like I said, for example, if you get somehow get Torkoal into the position in a Trick Room, you just go for Follow Me, so they don't like Max Flare and do something stupid. You go for Follow Me with Friend Guard, you take the Eruption reasonably well, I'd say, and you just Max Quake them for the one shot back, get attack boost, you already got Weakness Explosive boost, you got Special Defense boost, yeah. Glastrier is absolute menace to deal with in Trick Room, with Clefairy by its side, and it's really, for some hard Trick Room teams, it's almost unsolvable Pokemon. So yeah, this Clefairy, like, I would say this spread, I did not think of like good spread for Clefairy yet. I liked max defense, so we deal with the Celesteela a bit better. The Celesteela that gives us a problem, but it could clearly run like max special defense set, and it should be like alright as well. Now, Follow Me, Helping Hand are self-explanatory. Helping Hand allows for all these free Pokemon to just go nuts. Follow Me, just Resurrection. Sing is for punishing like passive positions from opponent. Like, for example, that they try to set up, I can Sing that, and basically they are screwed as a result. Like, so yeah, Sing punishes passive positions. It's inaccurate, but it makes opponent have to like think about it. Like, yeah, it's just annoying factor. And another annoyance opponent has to somehow deal with. But these, like, alright, so these last two Pokemon are like self-explanatory. I don't have to explain these. Like, you can see these Pokemon like everywhere. They're just reliable. Grassy Glide, Wood Hammer, Woodhammer is basically for extra damage. Like, I always find Grassy Glide kind of lacking time to time, but Woodhammer plus Grassy Glide can knock out so many Pokemon that I think it's just too much to pass on. And Woodhammer allows for, like, it's Rillaboom becomes much more useful Pokemon outside of the G-Max Ram solo, so Woodhammer, I think I highly recommend that. U-Turn is literally for Rillaboom mirrors, so basically, if they got Rillaboom in a bag, Rillaboom has a neutral matchup otherwise, and Urshifu has bad matchup, so I want my Rillaboom to have their edge over their Rillaboom by having U-Turn and just winning the mirrors in late game. Other than that, this is like fairly standard Rillaboom. It got Breakpoint and attack stat. You see here, I get 2 extra points. 20 here, so we outspeed other Rillabooms, and the rest is put in the special defense, so it's as bulky as possible. And Urshifu is like the most standard of standards, basically. So yeah, Regieleki is the main pillar of this team. Opponents might not expect it in upcoming like few weeks, but I predict this team to get really popular by like next month. You absolutely need to prepare for Regieleki in upcoming Players Cup. If you qualified, congratulations, but you need to predict and protect yourself from this absolute menace, as you have seen the calcs so far. But before I go into the counter section, let's talk about how to play this team against other popular archetypes. So let's see that. Alright, so let's go over Sun first. So this is one of the most problematic archetypes so far. So what I did here, turn 1, is Alright, so from my experience, I remember last time I played against archetype like this, opponent went for double expanding force turn 1, because opponent predicted the fact that I'm gonna go for Swords Dance. And I would imagine every single smart opponent would go for the same thing. So even if they, for example, get a Trick Room up by going for Follow Me, I don't think it really matters. We get attack boost with the Glastrier, and next turn we can go for Protect with the Clefairy, take the Eruption, and of course, if opponent goes for like Max Mindstorm plus a Eruption, the Glastrier takes the attack, we KO the Torkoal with Max Quake, and next turn opponent might start relying on G-Max Might just to win the game. So basically it's like Venusaur, Hatterene, and Trick Room against Clefairy and Glastrier, and Urshifu and Rillaboom in the back. So you basically just KO the... Yeah, you just KO the Hatterene now with Follow Me plus Max Steel Spike, and then Rillaboom plus Urshifu should deal with Venusaur in the back. So I just talked about a completely different game plan while you watch this replay go on. That's not going to be confusing at all, hopefully. Alright, so, but this game plan is fairly self-explanatory. You just kind of like hit the opponent, and it just kind of works out. So yeah, you also the Follow Me on Clefairy, as you're going to see in the next replay, is just for if Venusaur decided to just go for Sleep Powder. So you need the protection against that, and Clefairy sure offers protection against that. Alright, so let me play this. One last replay. So Glastrier Clefairy is surprisingly good against Torkoal plus Venusaur, as you're gonna see here. So basically, again, worst case scenario, opponent doesn't go for Sleep Powder at all. Instead, it goes for Max Ooze, which we can just extremely easily punish with helping him plus Max Quake. But opponent might just go for Sleep Powder, and we cannot really risk that. So Eruption goes off here, does a lot of damage to Glastrier, but it procs the weakness policy. Urshifu comes in, we go with our own Urshifu, which has advantage against theirs because it's not weak to fighting and their Urshifu is weak to fighting. We are going to barely survive with Glastrier, which is reasonable calc. I think we just survive that very often. And now Urshifu just gets taken down with the Hail, and opponent is completely screwed against this indeedee in the back. Like, yeah, I could have just stayed in here. I might as well just... Let's go fast. Alright, so expanding Force Band into Rillaboom, and we just won the game. So yeah, this is the game plan against Sun. Hopefully it's clear enough, even if, yeah. Alright, it's gonna get funny right now, because these replays are going to be extremely short. So, basically, opponent tries to go with Dusclops plus Incineroar. You know where this is going, this game plan, isn't it? Like, so basically, what does Incineroar want to go for? Fake Out? Alright, so Dusclops just faints. Okay, good. Right, I made a bit of a mistake here. I thought the Glastrier would faint here, but it did not. It actually survived the attack somehow. but just barely. So opponent gets the parting shot off. By the way, that is me. I'm testing against myself, but these matchups are like so self-explanatory. And most of the time, I'm trying to go over the worst case scenarios. Like I predict the worst way possible. Like for example, here I could have just picked up the Glastrier, but I'm just gonna choose like, what if I predicted this incorrectly? What if I wanted to predict max guard on Glastrier instead? But opponent did not. Alright, so here it's just gonna get funny because opponent got no switch-ins, and the Roller Beam in the back is just gonna win against Tapu Fini, and this is just Surging Strikes. I believe this Incineroar is Figgy Berry, so it just finds. And yeah, Moonblast just tackles Clefairy. Like it does not tackle Clefairy, but it's just too late at this moment. I decided to just make this game a little bit faster now. I'm gonna just switch to Roller Beam. This goes through Protect, there's nothing opponent can do. Moonblast brings me down to Focus Sash, but it doesn't really matter. Ugh, this recovery. Yeah, Tapu Fini is not too bad in Grassy Terrain. The recovery definitely helps it. Definitely try and Roller Beam Tapu Fini at one point. So yeah, this is the game plan. It's just like, I played like a bad player. But yet I still won because I just got so much of an advantage in this matchup. Alright, so you think Wolfey is the best player in the world, or his teams are the best in the world. Let's disprove that with simple Regieleki. Watch this. This is absolutely fantastic, this stun one. So I predict opponent to go for max guard, so it can get light screen up safely, but that is a guaranteed, no, that's not a guaranteed one-shot, but like, isn't that just funny? How that literally one-shotted Dragapult, even though it was resisted and fairly bulky. Congratulations, fantastic game design, Game Freak. Oh yeah, I could have went for Helping and Max Lightning here to just get the Coalossal. This is why I would assume opponent fears going for just an attack turn 1. So I'm just gonna like assume opponent, like most of the opponents would just go for max guard because light screen is just so kind of safe. Yeah. But yeah, this is just kind of tough for the opponent right now. Rising Voltage is still 100 for the base power move, because I set up my electric terrain, so yeah. Yeah, this is Citrus Berry Incineroar. It survives the attack fairly well, but... Oh yeah, Volcalypt is actually just getting kind of annoying, but... yeah, Fake Out. I'm just, again, worst case scenario is happening. I could have went for Electro here, but I feared Coalossal might survive that, but... Now this is just the one. Rising Voltage and just Wood Hammer, guaranteed KO. So, isn't that a funny matchup? Now, of course, I would imagine Wolfey would play this better, and maybe just not, like, we might not just KO the Dragapult turn 1, like, Wolfey would play this better, but this is, like, fantastic image for the, like, basic matchup. Like, we got this much of an advantage. Of course, Wolfey wouldn't give the game so free, but what are you gonna do with that? Regieleki, you might just not max guard the Coalossal turn 1, but that doesn't really help that much, so it's a stupid matchup, and I find that KO turn 1 just so hilarious. Matchups, alright, so I'm gonna like assume opponent has the fast Regieleki, which is not very much suited for the, excuse me, swap the sides. So I'd assume opponent will go for Spectrier to counteract me, so we both follow me. We KO their Clefairy, but they do not KO our Clefairy. I feel like that's Life Orb as well, right? Yeah, it's Life Orb and it does not knock out. So basically, a Roller Beam comes in to just kind of save the die, but now you can imagine what this Max Lightning does to that Spectrier. That's a one-shot. Absolutely fascinating. Alright, so Urshifu just comes in and like, this is over basically. I'm gonna go for Hyper Fast. This is just knockout with Close Combat. We could play this nothing. Opponent goes for Sucker Punch. Close Combat brings it down to Focus Sash. We just win the game. So yeah, this is the mirror matchup if opponent doesn't have the Regieleki still. This might change if opponents will change to like our Regieleki as well, but that's too much ceremony. That's a little bit too far away in the future. Oh, Tornadus Metagross, one of the most best leads, or like most consistent leads, because they're just so bulky, so fast, and Metagross is just so resilient. So what's the fuss about? So basically they go for like Tailwind, casually. Go for Tailwind. This is semi-fast Metagross. so it outspeeds stuff in Talent, but that means Regieleki just KOs it. Yeah, by this point, like, opponent might predict perfectly, but the game is just over. Because this... Yeah, this game is over after that turn 1. So basically, I would imagine this is how exactly it will go. By the way, that was Wackenberry Tornadus, and it just kind of fainted. I took this Tornadus Metagross team from Victoria Roads, and it was like made by some great player, I think Marco Fierro, at least I'd say. So it's actually a very good team, but it just kind of cannot match up against Regieleki. It's just too good. Regieleki is just better. Alrighty, so we got the Glastrier Rain I told you about. This is one of the few matchups you cannot bring Regieleki to. But it's like, it's kind of fairly simple to say at least. Like, it's not too hard to like play this. So basically, we just get the Raichu turn 1. There is no Levitator in the back, so this is like kind of genuinely free. I still think I should have went for like Max Phantasm turn 1, just so it's a little more like the game is a little more clean if opponent, for example, switch to turn 1. Alright, this Spectrier is going bananas. Alright, so yeah, this Celesteela is just getting a little bit too many defense boosts now, which might seem annoying at first glance, but then you realize that the Urshifu in the back for me completely ignores the defense boost with its Surging Strike. So, and it's raining, so it gets like 50% boost to its power as well. So yeah. Alright, so this is like kind of like controversial play, I'd say. Like this Grassy Glide did like nothing, which was, I believe, was pretty bad roll. And Shadow Ball just does so much, and yeah, now we win the game. Hyper fast. Let's just go for the 2 moves that just finish this game off. And there you go. So this matchup requires Spectre. If you want to change Spectre to something else, you will lose this matchup. There is no way you can win it otherwise. Otherwise then with Spectre, because like Urshifu and Realby are kind of bad against this team in the back, so you absolutely need Spectre to at least knock out like 3 Pokemon just so you win the late game. So yeah, it's just kind of awkward matchup, I'd say. This is so-called not core, so basically Nihilego, Urshifu and Thundurus. So Nihilego is their best chance to just go up against this because it's just so special bulky. So yeah, follow me is kind of required here. Opponent might go for Protect on one, but it's like, I don't think it's like the best move. Max Ooze might look like a great idea to just get a boost off Clefairy, but opponent should have problem for Max Rockfall. So yeah, here I again go for like the worst, like, oh, yeah. So basically, I just get Nihilego here. Even if opponent like connected this overheat here, like it would not matter at all, I feel. Even if they KO Clefairy, for example, I got Urshifu in the back with Aqua Jet, so if they max guarded, I would have been able to go for Aqua Jet plus Max Lightning and KO the Nihilego anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And we just won this game. By the way, this is like also a sample team from Victoria Roads. A lot of these teams might get updated as the season goes and become like more perfect. But so far, I just don't recall Series 7 that well, and I think Victoria Road is kind of fair source for sample teams and like sample metagames. So highly recommend checking out VictoriaRoadVGC.com. Alright, this is the last matchup. It's Weezing Regigigas, and it's like kind of annoying to deal with, of course. So basically, you cannot really go with Regieleki because opponent can lead with Venusaur Torkoal, and that means it's instant loss if you lead with Regieleki. So you need to go with Spectre and just kind of like compromise. We need to go for Max Strike here, just so we slow down Weezing, because like Max Strike would otherwise put Spectre below the Regigigas' speed, and we would probably lose the game. So basically, Weezing is kind of forced to just faint here, but as you're gonna see here, the slow start doesn't really nerf Regigigas for some reason. I didn't expect this to do this much. Watch this. Like, wow, 93%? Seriously? Yeah, it's still like 150 base per attack, stab, with -1 defense. So here, I made a little bit like possible prediction that could just go kind of ugly if I predicted incorrectly. So that turn, their Urshifu outspeed our Urshifu and Spectre and can just go for Wicked Blow in the Spectre and just knock it out because it's choice banned. So if opponent, for example, goes for Urshifu here and KOs it with Wicked Blow, this can get a little bit bad. But I would imagine the next play you go for is as following. You just let the Urshifu faint, and next turn you just go for a... So basically you just bring in Rillaboom and go for like Fake Out plus Shadow Ball into it to put it into a... Grassy Glide range, and next turn then you go for Machel into their Regigigas and Grassy Glide their Urshifu to finish it off with... because they're choice banned, so... They cannot go for Sucker Punch all of a sudden against non-Dynamax Spectre, so... Yeah, this matchup is kind of like iffy. I would say the Sun Core would give you a little bit of trouble even with Spectre as well, but... Yeah, this is a quite rare team, so... Yeah, it's kind of a bad matchup, but it's kind of a rare team, and you just kind of can win if you predict correctly, so... Yeah, it's winnable. That's enough. That's all I'm gonna say. Stupid Wenukoal, and that team just makes this just kind of bad matchup. But... Alright, so now with the matchups done, we are gonna go over the counters to this team, because there are actually quite plenty of them, but yeah, let's go over that. I am gonna try to keep this short, but remember when I talked about Garchomp? Yeah, so with Assault Vest, it becomes especially bulky, so it takes on Spectre. Now it not only takes on Spectre, but also Regieleki because of its ground typing. Now with Rough Skin and Max Dragon, it's gonna easily take care of the Urshifu and Rillaboom, because like, they just have to take Rough Skin, Dragon Claw really hurts them. I mean, Max Dragon to it KOs them, and I believe Urshifu gets KO'd at -1 with Max Dragon, so... Yeah, Garchomp is like the most perfect counteraction for this. Of course, it kinda has shortcomings against the Glastrier, but Glastrier is slow, and that can be exploited by some other Steel type, so... If you got Steel type on a team already, that is more than capable taking on Glastrier, leave with Garchomp next to it, and you basically counteract everything they got on a team. Yeah, that's just definitely... Garchomp is amazing in this matchup. It's not weak to the... And it's just perfect how it's not weak to the water like Landorus is. It just makes such a difference with Rough Skin, but plus not being weak to water, it's just amazing. Now, another Pokemon that's very similar to Garchomp that fits more than the hyper-offensive spectrum is Dragapult. Dragapult kind of takes the Max Lightning with if it Dynamaxes, and it can fly to boost your speed, and then it outspeeds Regieleki and can fly again, or like Max Airstream again to just let your, for example, Urshifu outspeed next to you, so... Basically, Dragapult is kind of sturdy, takes at least one hit, and oh yeah, it outspeeds Spectre, so it can kind of KO it before it can do damage to it. And Max Airstream plus Max Phantasm guaranteed KOs Clefairy, so it has some great qualities, but Clefairy plus Spectre is probably gonna beat it because they got Redirection. So I would still recommend sticking the Garchomp as the ultimate counter you can slap on any team. It really makes a difference, so... Yeah, but Dragapult gets honorable mention. So now these are like combos I'm gonna go over. So Raichu Celesteela is fairly annoying for this team, as I've said before. If you got Focus Sash on Raichu, you're gonna guarantee to take a hit from Spectre and slow the game down as a result. And with Helping Hand plus Max Steel Spike, you simply KO their Clefairy. So, and you get special attack boost, and the team just kind of like falls behind at that point. Like Urshifu and Rillaboom just kind of both do not do well against Celesteela. Celesteela actually outspeeds Urshifu at +2 speed, so that is great. And Raichu is still like alive by that point, so it's just kind of annoying for them to deal with this. Eerie Impulse also greatly annoys Spectre, and if you get Airstream boost, you can just outspeed Spectre and go for a Eerie Impulse on it before it can attack. So yeah, this combo is very annoying against the Clefairy plus Spectre. Clefairy plus Regieleki just can't do anything, and if you see Glastrier just Volt Switch with Raichu, chip the Clefairy into Max Steel Spike range, pick up the Clefairy with Max Steel Spike, get defense boost, and Glastrier is kind of screwed. So yeah, Glastrier is kind of screwed. So Incineroar plus Porygon 2 are like good combo kind of as well that can take it on. Of course, this Incineroar is built in a way so it can take Max Lightning very favorably, and it can get a Snarl off or Parting Shot off on their Regieleki, so it just kind of weakens it. So your Dynamax Assault Vester, something like a Glastrier for example, can take on the Regieleki with little more leisure room. So you still like helping in Max Lightning in Electro Train do 90%, so now take Assault Vest on Glastrier and -1 special attack, and it does about, I would say, 40%. Yeah, so yeah, that is the case with this Incineroar, but I highly recommend running Porygon 2 next to it with max special offense, so it can take the Max Lightning guaranteed, and now you just are like, again, it's kind of like easy. You guaranteed set up the Trick Room, and like you suddenly force opponent to maybe go with its Stone Spectrier, and that kind of like damages the whole image of the team. It's no longer that threatening, and Incineroar takes on the Spectrier pretty well. Opponent has to taunt the Porygon 2, so you can get kind of free Snarl off, and it's like, yeah, you get the idea of it. Porygon 2, this Incineroar plus Porygon 2 is absolutely amazing. So if you have like semi-Trick Room mode, you might want to replace Dusclops, get a Porygon 2 in there, and maybe just re-EV your Incineroar, and you should be good to go against this combo. So this was solution for semi-Trick Room, solution for like every team, and solution for like some niche rain teams. So for the Tailwind, I would highly recommend just leading with Landorus and just go for Earthquake. Turn 1 to weaken the Regieleki. Yeah, that's it. That's basically the game plan. And go for Tailwind next to it. Taunt allows you to stop the Clefairy kind of from going for like Sings, so that's also useful. And Helping Hands, so yeah. You could go for like maybe like Tailwind plus Max Quake as well, but just remind, Regieleki might want to go for like a Urshifu at some point in the game, and you might not be able to counteract it so well. So I would highly just recommend using Landorus as your chip tool to put your opponent like lower HP. Let your Whimsicott plus Landorus faint, and then bring in your main sweepers, Dynamax it, and they're screwed. As you might have figured out, the Regieleki archetype is so-called bulky offense, and bulky offense has infamously absolutely horrible matchup against Tailwind offense. It just cannot really keep up against it because it has no Trick Room. So basically, after you chip them away and like waste like 2 turns, you should be able to KO Clefairy, finish off the Regieleki, which you outspeed now with pretty much anything because you're an Tailwind, and they didn't get a chance to go for Max Strike yet. So then you get Regieleki, Clefairy, and suddenly they're staring a Cinderace plus something with Urshifu plus Rillaboom. Rillaboom just faints to Max Flare, and now you just win the game. Yeah. Or Max Earthstream, for example, so you don't get picked off by Surging Strikes from Urshifu. I would highly recommend running Landorus plus Whimsicott plus Cinderace, and basically, so basically, if you're looking for like good Tailwind sweeper, like main sweeper, I would highly recommend Cinderace if you haven't decided on main sweeper. And maybe if you're like looking for like last member, I would recommend Landorus, so you just have a little bit more annoyance factor for Regieleki. Like suddenly Regieleki can like lead, so you can't just go crazy because Landorus is on that. It's gonna go for Max Lightning safely or anything, because you can just, even if you don't lead with Landorus, you can just switch to it and just, or not switch to it and stress your opponent out by kind of having the switch available, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Landorus is like kind of still, I still think Garchomp is a lot better, but Landorus still is very stressful for the Regieleki. But last but not least, Venusaur plus Torkoal is kind of nice, but with a twist. So basically, this team is usually, like the Regieleki team relies on Glastrier to deal with the Sun, but we're gonna have nasty surprise for them, because this is a fast Torkoal that outspeeds not only Clefairy with Sing, but also the Glastrier, and you just go for Eruption before they can attack, and it gets ugly for them. It really gets really ugly for them. So basically, you win the game by just outspeeding Glastrier, and opponent might not expect it. And you might say like, that's gimmick? No, that's not a gimmick. I ran that in Players Cup 2 in my European qualifier, and I went 7-0 with this Venusaur plus fast Torkoal. It really does absolute wonders against any Glastrier. So I would imagine it works against this team as well. And as you might know, Regieleki cannot be really brought out against Venusaur, so they are pretty much forced to leave with Spectrier, which you just kind of like probably gonna leave that on your own. But Sleep Powder definitely helps in that matchup. You can just kind of spam Sleep Powder and just kind of get out of that match kind of unnoticed. Just hit the Sleep Powder, then Dynamax Venusaur, and it's just like ugly for the opponent. Having Urshifu Dark Type in the back is definitely helping. So yeah, that's it. These are all the notes you need to know to how to play Regieleki, how to play up against it, and I'll catch you next Monday. So see ya.